Okay, so before you shoot, now you're going to have to decide on what type of lighting you need. Do you want to use natural light? Right now it's a hard light because it's creating harsh shadows. If you can see on the back wall anywhere, you see harsh shadows. Soft light will diffuse the shadows, either minimize them or eliminate them depending on how you set up the lights. Do you want to use 3-point lighting, which is like a key light, a fill light to fill in the shadows of like a face or something, and then a rim light at the back to separate the subject from the background. So that's a basic 3-point lighting. But halogen lights, fluorescent lights, LED lights, bounce lights. Let's talk about a couple of different styles in lighting. For example, film noir, single point harsh lighting, a lot of darkness and shadows. If you're going to do a documentary, if you're going to do a short film or music video, you don't need the most fancy lighting kit. Filmmakers consider lighting or cinematography painting with light. So we do need light. Just can't tell a story in absolute darkness for the most part. Okay, the audio. Now, how are you going to record the audio? Do you want to go direct to camera? Do you want to choose double system? I always recommend going direct to camera even if you're using double system. A double system means you're going to send the audio to a separate device. But what type of mics are you going to use? For this video, I'm using the lavalier mic mounted on my chest because it's directly in front of me. It's an interview style situation. It doesn't work so good if I move the microphone too far away. I gotta have this very close to the source. But otherwise I might use a shotgun mic for an interview on a stand maybe, or a shotgun mic for a short film where I'm holding the microphone over an actor but out of frame because we don't want to see the microphone in that case. But what about the gain structure? If you have a mixing board included, how are you going to turn up the gain, the volume? It's not exactly volume, but it's microphone sensitivity and then volume throughout the whole structure of the gain. That has to be set up to get the ultimate results, to get very, very clean audio. Otherwise, you're going to have noisy or distorted sound. So gain structure is very important. Wireless microphones, in this case I'm using a lavalier, but for some other interviews you might use a handheld microphone wireless, but there's a lot of things to know about the wireless microphones. In any case, audio is an important consideration and there's a lot of details to it. Okay, so now you have your technology, your idea, the paperwork, and you need people on screen, all right? If it's going to be you in the movie, maybe it's just you and you don't need to worry about talent or anything, but anybody on screen is considered the talent. So it could be an interviewee or it could be an actor. Let's talk about actors for a second. When you get people interested in the role, you put ads out there and get people interested in doing different roles on your short film. You're going to start doing casting sessions. So casting sessions include you standing there, you get a bio on them, maybe a headshot if they have one, and get them to read lines of the script. Have somebody else read against them so they can pretend they're acting. And you see in your mind, or the casting director's mind, depending on how you produce the film, if they're right for the role. It's a tricky thing because it's not an exact science where you know exactly how they're going to act on set, because people are people, they have emotions, they might change a bit. But most importantly, A, do you think they can do it? And B, can they be directed? Choosing interview sound bites. So you have somebody on screen. What I do is I ask them a certain amount of questions. I try to direct them in a certain way, not trying to get answers out of them specifically. I want to hear them talk so I can form a story together. But when I'm watching the footage, I sit there and I choose the best sound bites from the interview to tell the story the way I think the story should be told. What about the wardrobe? The actors need to have the right wardrobe, or the interviewees need to have the right wardrobe. Certain colors dark black in a dark environment don't really work that well for the video camera because they're not bouncing any light. That's enough about talent. Budget and locations. There's a few things to consider. How much can you afford? What kind of camera? What's everything going to cost you? You got to write it down on paper to see if you can actually shoot the thing. I'm not saying you have to have a large budget. Sometimes you could have a very small or modest budget and get a lot of great results. It depends on how resourceful you are. Who can you talk into doing things for free for you? Can you start an online fundraising campaign of sorts? Are you going to use your own money? Will your family give you money? Your friends? Who believes in the project, right? So you got to know basically in the bottom line how much it's going to cost before you proceed. I recommend choosing simple locations. I do interviews with people in my place, at their place of work, in a public place, not showing the logo. Somebody has to scout the location to make sure it's the right location. Now it's time for the shoot. So you're on location, all the paperwork's in order, you got your actors, you got your cameras. Now you have to direct the talent and the action. You also have to know the C's of cinematography: continuity, coverage, camera angles, cutting on action, cutaways, close-ups. You got to make sure it's directed properly so that you have the right coverage for editing and it's going to work to tell the story. We got to plan that out. So plan the shoot, plan the timing, the schedule. That's very important. Now it's time to edit. First of all, did you record in the right file format? Are you working on a PC or a Mac to edit? Are you going to edit on Premiere Pro, Vegas Video, Final Cut, Avid? But then did you get enough coverage on set? Can you or the editor tell the story with the footage you've got? Hopefully you can. If you've prepared from the previous steps, then you'll be able to do that.